My dear second BCom students, today I want to teach you law and practice of income tax 1, out of which model 1 introduction to taxation. Taxation, is it a new word or it is an old version? There is a question arises before you, my dear students. In Kautilya's economics, he was used the word tax in many years ago. In Manusmriti also explained the taxes, the uses of land, houses, etc. It means that income tax, it is not a new word. Tax is not a new word. Income tax, it is the older one. Now in this third semester of your part, law and practice of income tax is concerned, I want to teach you the basic introduction about the taxation. As you know that there are so many questions which are arise in front of you, my dear students. That is, what is this tax? Whom to be paid this tax? Why should I pay the tax? What is the uses of tax? Whom to be paid tax? These are the questions which are arising in your mind. Dear students, income tax is to be paid by every person whose tax limit is exceed, then he should pay income tax. It is clear that whom to be paid income tax? Income tax to be paid to the government. In which government? There are two governments are there. One is state government, another one is state government, central government. So you have to pay the central government. Central government, it has to pay some portion of taxes to the state governments. Next question, what is the uses of taxes? My dear students, income tax, it is one of the most significant source of revenue to the government. The government which needs money to meet the various public expenditures such as maintaining law and order in the country, to safeguard the country from the foreign development, to provide the education, to development of agriculture, to the development of industries, infrastructure development, maintenance of hospitality, welfare of the peoples. To meet these all expenditure, there is a revenue is very necessary to the government, so that the government, it has imposed taxes to the individuals and as well as business peoples. They must and should pay taxes. In the second slide, I have mentioned what is the meaning of income tax. Income tax is the type of tax that the government imposes on incomes generated by the business and individuals with their jurisdiction. It means that tax is a compulsory payment. It should be made by every citizen of the central government for the purpose of availing benefit from the government, which are not directly related to the payment of taxes. I have categorized income tax into two groups. It should be called as, the first one is direct tax and second one is indirect tax. What do you mean by direct tax? The impact and incidence of tax which is fall on the same person is known as Direct tax imposes means the burden of the tax, and incidence of tax means the responsibility to pay the tax. For example, of direct taxes are income tax, wealth tax, property tax, etc. Second type of taxes are indirect taxes. It is quite opposite of the direct taxes. The impact on one person and the incidence of tax fall on some other person is known as indirect tax. Take for example sales tax, service tax, excise duty. These are all comes under indirect taxes. It means that burden and incidence it fall on some other persons. Suppose when we shopping we made, we will pay the taxes on behalf of the manufacturing or the traders. We pay some taxes. Excise duty on manufacturing, custom duty on import and export, these are all called indirect taxes. Now, I would like to tell you some brief history of the income tax in India. The tax system which was introduced by Mr. Sir James Wilson for the first time in India in the year 1860 on experimental basis. On what basis? On experimental basis, in order to meet the losses. For what purposes Sir James Wilson was introduced? To meet the losses sustained by the government on account of the war in the year 1857. On the year 1857, there was incidents was happened. To meet the expenditure, Sir James Wilson he was introduced for the first time income tax. This act was in the practice with various amendments from time to time up to 2017. It was made some changes. In 1918, a new income tax which was passed and it was practiced for a short period up to 1922. The Income Tax Act 1922 was passed in the year and it remains force up to 1961. When the present Income Tax Act 1961 was brought into the force. Dear students, in the Income Tax 1961 was passed in the year 1961 and it came into the force on 1st April 1962 and it applies the whole India, introduced except Jammu and Kashmir from those days. Income Tax Act 1961, it is a comprehensive act. Dear students, it consists of 298 sections, schedules, rules, etc. Now, we will move on the characteristics of income tax. The first one is compulsory payment. What do you mean by compulsory payment? That means when the government levied, every person they must pay taxes. Income tax, property tax should be paid in a specified rate. The rate was prescribed by the CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. It has fixed the specified rates, and these rates which are changes from period to period, so that sales tax and excise duties are also paid when the goods are sold and manufactured. Customs duty are also collected when the import and export duties are made. So overall, compulsory payment of tax is the burden of all the peoples of India. The second point is no credit, there is no direct benefits. The government, it has not compulsorily collect all types of taxes. It does not give any direct benefit to the taxes. So, it has to collect directly from the concerned authorities, the concerned persons, so that it does not give any direct benefit to the tax payment for the tax paid. Third important characteristic is common benefit to all. That means the government collects the taxes and it spends common benefits to all the peoples. It doesn't discriminate either in the poor peoples or the rich peoples. Every peoples, they should pay income tax, such as it provides it has provided some provisions against floods. Floods, uncertainly it happens. To fulfill the needs, the government has taken initiate action through the revenue of income tax. It also common benefit is concerned as defense of the defense of the country. It is very necessary to protect the country from the neighbor countries. It has to utilize the tax revenue for the sake of the country to the defense. It also maintains the law and order. Law and order, it is also one of the important thing to protect the country. The government, it has to utilize the fund from the tax to avoid or the maintain of the law and orders. One of the most important is hospitalization. To meet the expenditure, government has to utilize the tax amount. Next one is certain taxes are levied for specific objectives. What are the specific objectives? The government collects revenue to meet the expenditure on social wants, on merit wants. Sometimes certain tax are achieved specific objectives. A tax, fare, petroleum imposes heavy tax on petroleum luxury goods, and also to reduce the inequality of the resources or essential goods in a cheaper rates like clothes, etc. Next one is fifth characteristic: no tax without representation. There is no crucial methods are to be used to collect the taxes. In the assembly of the elected responsibilities are required to collect the taxes, and the government has following some procedures to collect the taxes. It issued notice to the defaultees. It has imposed the penalties. It has defaults appeal to the tribunals. So, dear students, these are the characteristics of taxation.